Okay, good morning. So what I wanted to do for you today is to take a peek at the last three problems that you have for the chapter 12, dimensioning and tolerancing and GD&T that we've been practicing in this chapter. So we already did the first two. Now I want to look at the last three. So you'll notice that all the chapter 12 problems, which are at the end of the chapter problems that I picked for you guys to do, are going to be due on Thursday by the end of the day. So today I'm going to kind of do that overview, and then tomorrow I'm planning on introducing a new project for you, but I'll be taking questions on any of these as they come up as you're working on them, since they're going to be due on Thursday. So I anticipate that you'll be actively working on these before you really get started on that next project. But there are some people who are ready to start the next project, so I want to be sure to get going on that as well. So let's first look at a learning plan for chapter 12 and see what resources we have out there. So you'll notice here that I have the lecture videos. So these are the ones that I've done up to this point. I'll be adding today's in here as well, as far as tutorial demos and our problem demos. And then you'll notice that we have the tutorial and problem guides. Now, these guides are kind of like the final drawing that I want you to create based on the description that they have for each one of the problems in here. As you know, for the tutorials, I did differ in how they went about that, and I think I changed a little bit on the first ones, but these last ones are pretty solid. So they're pretty close, but I did the guides anyway, just to be sure that you guys knew what you needed to do. I realize that some of the dimensioning, especially the GD&T, might not be as fresh as it had been when you first had maybe taken the class with me, or some of you may not have taken the class. So I want you to have good examples so that you can mimic something that's going to adhere to the standard appropriately. So these first two starting with problem 12.1, these are the problems, okay? So last evening, I actually added these last three, okay? So these are new as of last night. So these are the three that I want to go over. So problem number 3, 12.3, 12.5, and 12.6, okay? So if you click on these are PDFs of the guides. I already have mine printed out, so I'll be referencing that underneath my document camera. So let's take a peek, though, in the book first so that we can see what the problem statement looks like. And like I said, these last couple are going to mimic pretty darn closely what the book actually has. So for 12.3, this is found on page 444. And here is the overall part, okay? So you want to get this drawn first. I'm not going to take time to do that here. I already have this drawn. And really what I want to just kind of walk you through is some of the nuances of the dimensions that are here and some of the things that I want you to keep in mind as you're working on creating the final drawing. But it's up to you to create the actual part first, the model, and then use that model to create the drawing with the dimensioning and the details that we have here. So what I want to do is I'm going to call up and create a new drawing. Now I already did my selecting of my working drawing. So even though the model is out there, okay, and it's in the working directory, I still need to set that every time that I go in here as you know, kind of that first step before I do anything else. So I already did that. So I am going to start a new drawing, okay? And I'm going to use that model, that spacer model that's out there. So I'm going to call this spacer 1, okay? And my common name is going to be my part number 123003. Now this wants us to make a 2-view. My model is going to be my spacer. Now, some of the dimensions, as you know, because I already created the actual drawing itself, the model remembers that, okay? So what I'm going to do is we're going to notice that some of these tolerances come up, but I'll kind of set them back to the default so I can show you how I got them in there. So I want to pull up that part, that model, and then I'm going to go to my working directory where I've got my LTCA template 2-view, okay, template 2-view. So I'm going to open that up and I'm going to hit OK. And something that I've been noticing, and I've got to go back and change my templates. Every one of my templates has steel for the material and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the part number. I must have had that set somewhere along the way in there. I didn't get a chance to go back, and I noticed this after I actually did all my PDFs and uploaded them. I'm like, shoot, they all have the same material and the same part number. So please make sure you get the right part number in, because it is called out in here for each one of these drawings. And then make sure that the appropriate material is there as well. I'll get mine updated, but for right now, focus on the dimensions and not so much as what's in the title block, but make sure that yours matches what you're supposed to do here. So you'll notice that when this comes in, first and foremost, when they look up here, they want us to use a half scale, and that's in the problem statement. So I'm going to look down at the bottom of our screen here, and kind of in grade print, it has the scale of the part on our drawing border, and it's already at 0.5, so I don't have to do anything here. A lot of times this might come in slightly different, and then if I just simply double click on that, up on the top here, I can enter whatever value I want it to be. But right now, this is totally good, so I don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup at the start here, like I always do. And you'll notice that I'm going to go in, I'm going to unselect all of the planes and the axes to get those off of there. So that kind of cleaned things up already. Then I'm going to go down to the lower right-hand corner here. I'm going to choose underneath general. So I did the down arrow here, and I'm going to choose annotation. And I'm just going to put a box around all of these dimensions, and I'm going to get rid of them. Okay. And by going to annotation down there, it only focuses on the selection of the annotation so that I don't get rid of the part stuff. So if I kind of zoom in and out here with my roller button, you'll notice that I have the part actually there yet. Okay. I do want to put this back to general so that I can kind of navigate around here. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just move over and get this kind of centered a little bit for myself. And I am going to go, and I'm going to be on layout here, and I'm going to unlock view. Okay, so I'm going to unselect this. So you'll notice that it toggles on and off, gray and white. So I want it to be white for right now. And then when I get over the top of one of my views, and the front view is what everything is projected off of. So I need to, if I want to move things around, like the whole drawing around, I've got to move my front view first. And then I can move the other ones in projection in line with that. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to get my 4 arrows, and I'm just going to kind of scooch this up and to the right a little bit. So I've got a little bit of room here on this right hand side, and then I'm going to select this one, and I'm just going to go over to far. Okay, so that I've got enough space. The main part of my dimensions is going to be right here on this front view. So if I just peek underneath my document camera here, my final drawing, my guide, if you go into that folder for the spacer, and this is problem 12.3, this is going to be what I'm going to be achieving for my final result. And so you'll notice that almost all of my dimensions are here, so that's why I wanted to scooch things over so I had enough room for things. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to re-lock this, okay, because I don't want things moving around if I accidentally kind of select things or, that kind of thing. I just don't want to move it around. So I wanted to stay right here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Annotate tab. I'm going to click on my view. I'm going to go up into my Show Model Annotation. I'm going to go to the right-hand side here, and I'm going to put in whatever center lines I have available, okay, and apply and cancel. Now, you'll notice here that it didn't put any in for my, my slot. That's okay. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. We do want to extend, and notice that I've got these guys here. Now, I could move this whole thing around, but I don't want to. I just want to get on the edge of this right one. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to push this over and through that, that radius, and then I'm going to scooch this one over, and I'm going to put it in line until it gets over here so that those two are connected. That way we can see that these are all on the same center line. And then additionally, I'm going to select these guys, and with my left mouse button, I'm just going to push this a little bit beyond to match the other side. And that's it. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to go over to my right side view, And I'm going to add in my center lines now if I want to move, see these guys. They're one on top of another, so I don't need them both. I'm going to unselect one of them. I'm going to hit apply because I don't need two lines on top of each other. So just one center line there. Okay, so center line wise, I'm in good shape. And as you know, the grayed out solid lines here are going to be hidden when I actually do my print. So in this view, they show like this. If you want to double check, remember, all you've got to do is go back to File, go to Print, print up here, click on this one, do a quick preview right here, kind of dial in and out, and notice that it has everything set for us. We don't even have to worry about the line type scale or anything like that like you do in AutoCAD. So it's really automated and automatic. So I'm gonna click close, come back over here, and I'm gonna start by identifying what dimensions I want to put in my front view. So I'm gonna select this view, and I'm going to go to Show Model Annotations. Now it's still on the last one that I used, which was the center lines. So I'm gonna go over to the left here, and it's going to put all the dimensions on that it possibly can. Now you'll notice that some of these, like I said, have it has the basic dimension around it and things. I'm going to take those off so we can kind of start fresh once I get over there. It remembers it from when I created my drawing. So it's very smart, which is really kind of nice, okay? But in my case, because I want to kind of start from ground zero, it's not convenient. So I'll have to do a little bit of work to kind of go backwards and then get it back in place. So what dimensions do I want? I definitely want the 2.15, the 2.35. Now remember, I can select them right over here, and as I do that, they go from red to black, and we'll notice that the check marks are filling in along here, or I can do it manually, okay? And I want my through hole here, I want my 3-inch diameter, I want the slot, I don't want that. I want this hole, okay. All right, so I'm going to hit apply and I'm going to hit cancel. Okay, all right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of work here. I'm going to select each one of these dimensions, and then my dimension ribbon comes up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these back to like their original state. So for this one's going to be a nominal. These guys are going to be a nominal, nominal. And okay, so then now I'm going to start kind of moving these around and getting them off of the part, and then I'll start picking like what the appropriate placement is going to be based on my placement there. So the way that I drew mine out, now again, it doesn't have to be exactly like what I had, except that you have to make sure that you can get all the dimensions on here and readable. That's the main thing. So I put my location dimensions for the holes and such down at the bottom, and then you'll notice that I kind of went around with everything else in this front view. So I'm going to duplicate what I see here, but that doesn't mean that you can't put this stuff on top and this stuff on the bottom. It really doesn't matter, okay? Whatever you feel, it's your choice. And I don't really have a reason why I did it one way or the other. I really kind of did it more based on probably the order I did it in, and what kind of just seemed to make sense as I was going through it. Okay, so I kind of put these down here. Now, once I have these in place, then what I want to do is I want to select that dimension, go to its endpoint, and drag down. Now, this was this dimension here, okay? Now I've got to do it for this one. Pull this down, and notice there's 3 dimensions basically that are there. So this third one, then, once I get this one, that one should release it. And I kind of push the other ones down so I don't have so many lines over the top of each other. Do the same thing here so that I have an offset. I have a little bit of a gap there. And this one for right now, I'm going to leave where it's at. Okay. Now, you'll notice that I have a diameter of 0.75 for this hole. I've got a diameter of I've got a diameter, the 3, I guess I put over here. That's fine. And then this guy is going to come in Now, with this one, I kind of did it a little bit different on another one, and I think I like the way that I did it better on problem number 6. So I'm just going to look underneath there how I did this slot. And I'm actually going to do it as a dimension, a linear dimension here, okay, for that slot. So I'm going to change up how I did this one just because I think it looks a little better. So I'm going to delete this dimension. I'm going to put an actual dimension in, and I'm going to go from this point right there. I have to hold my control key to do the second point. And then now I've got the 0.75 coming out here, okay? And I'm going to put that like up over here for right now. Okay, and then cancel that out. Okay, so that'll be right there for right now. And as I look here, I do have a gap, but I'm gonna create a little bit larger one so it's a little bit easier to see. There we go. Okay, so so this is kind of my dimensions as I see them, you know, over here. In addition to what's here dimension-wise, I do need to put my radius on here, the radius of each one of these edges, okay? So where do I want to do that? See, I lost my spot. I can probably fit it in right here. So I'm going to do a dimension. I'm going to go to here, and this is going to be a radius of 0.75. Middle mouse button, place it, and then left mouse button. Okay, so dimension-wise, I've got this hole, I've got that hole. I mean, yeah, this slot is here, my diameter of 3, my locations on the bottom here, and my radius. Okay, all right, so now let's look at setting these up first and foremost to the number of decimal places that I need, as well as any tolerances that I need to apply. So I'm going to start off by doing my radius of 0.75 here. Now, when I click on any one of my dimensions, this dimension ribbon comes up, and this is where I can do my, you know, customizing and adding and subtracting things. So for right now, this is going to remain a 2-place decimal, and you want to use the problem statement as a guide. So it doesn't change anything about that radius, but there are 2 of them on either side. Now, because it's symmetrical about that like center point, that center plane, I'm going to use the terminology after it as typical, because what that means is there's another one like it kind of mirrored on the other side. You could do a 2-by if you wanted to. You could do both ends, both sides, or something like that. But I'm going to do typical. So I want to add in back of this some text. So I'm going to go up to dimension text. This has to be activated. Okay, dimension text. Now the R is there. It automatically put that in. I could change it if I wanted to. So again, I could go in front of this R and do a 2-by space R 0.75. Or I'm going to do it the way that I did. I'm going to go after the dimension. Okay, so this kind of is representative of the number itself and what I want to do after. So I'm going to do a space and then TYP for typical. Okay, now if I click on the outside of this, so like out here in the drawing area, it's going to like end me being in that dimension. And if I wanted to do anything else, then I have to go back in and reselect it. So what I've been training myself to do, because I'll tend to do that, and all of a sudden, like, oh crap, I've got to go back into the dimension. If I click back on this, it deactivates. So it keeps me in my ribbon here, okay? But if I'm done with it and that's all that I need to do with it, I'm gonna go over the top of it. I'm gonna scooch it a little bit closer, okay? And then I think all I need to do, oh, it looks like I need a typical or a basic dimension on there for the profile a little bit later. So I might as well put that on right now because this is the basic dimension, so I'll put my box around it. Now I think I'm all set, and I can just click anywhere on my left mouse button anywhere in the drawing area there. So that one's all done, all right? And on my drawing here, to kind of signify that I'm done with that, because I don't want to forget anything, I've trying to force myself to be a little bit better with not just checking, but also just making sure. So I've got this guy in place. This one's done. All right. Okay, so now let me go back to my drawing, And now I want to deal with, I might as well deal with that 3-inch diameter. Now it looks like if I look at it, there really isn't anything about it. It's just the outside profile that needs that. So I'm going to click on this and I'm just going to change it to a basic dimension. Now, this is a diameter here because it was drawn as a diameter. So that's good. Now, and I'm going to make it a little steeper because I want to be in the rounded portion, not in the flat, okay? I want to be in the rounded portion. So I'm going to put it kind of tall here, okay? Pretty vertical. But I want to be able to see that difference. Okay. That looks pretty good. So that one's all set. So I'm going to highlight that one so I know that I did that one. Okay, so now the next thing, let's deal with our slot here, okay? So it's 0.75, okay? Now, if we read in our book, oh shoot, you know, wait, 3/4 inch hole and slot have an upper limit. Oh, I didn't catch that. So I do need to change my, my guide, and I will get that updated right after class. I'll use this one. It says here the 3/4 inch diameter hole and slot, I think I missed the slot part, have an upper limit of and a lower limit of, okay? So what I want to do is get those guys in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. So I do need to do it for both the slot and the hole. So I didn't do it for the slot on my original, so I'll update that. So I'm going to select this dimension right here, and we're going to change it to a 3-place decimal. Okay, so I'm going to do that work first. So that's going to be right here under the round dimension. I want to go to 1, 2, 3. Okay, now some students were having a little bit of a problem at times being able to get your dimensions to like over here to change to like limits and then be able, oh, this is actually one of them. So I changed that to limits, and you'll notice here that I can't change my limits inside of there. All right, I can't change them. I can't select this. This is grayed out. Now, you could go through a process, but I did figure out a workaround, and actually it's the better way to do it. When I was doing the limits before, then I was putting my numbers in there. And I felt kind of weird about it, but I didn't know any other way to do it. But I was kind of fudging my dimensions, which is something we don't want to do, okay? So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go back to my nominal value, and these are available now, okay? So instead of putting the actual number in the top and the bottom here, when this is its 3-place decimal, before I switch it over to limits, I actually want to change my plus and minus here. So I need this to be, the final number to be 0.754. So if it's drawn at 0.75, I need to put 0.00, oopsie, 0.000, there was a decimal in there. 0.004 is going to be my add on the top, and then I'm going to subtract 4 thousandths on the bottom. So notice that it's minus 0.004 on the bottom, okay? And it's going to be based on my nominal. So now I'm going to click outside of that. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Now, when I re-click on it, my stuff comes up. It remembers the +4, -4. And now when I go over to tolerance and I hit limits, it changes it for me there. And now it's an actual dimension. So if you look back at previous drawings, some of mine had blue when I did that because it was a fudge dimension. That's what it was. I just like keyed it in. And it didn't really follow the geometry or the nominal size that I had drawn. Now it did follow. So if I go out of here for a second, okay, and I go into File, Print, just to show you, File, Print, and I do a preview on this, this is a black dimension. It's a strong dimension. It's based on the geometry. Notice that all of these are, okay, because it's based on the geometry. But if you look back, there was some dimensions that would come in as blue, and those would be because I was keying them fully in, top and bottom. So I'm going to avoid doing that. That was bad. If you do it, I can't really call you on it. I can't say it's really super bad, but it's not being driven by the actual geometry, and we do want to do that, okay? So again, when you select on this, before you go over to the tolerance, set your plus and minus over here, and then hit limit, and then you know, click on it over here. All right, now we want to do some more here. I want to put not a diameter in front of it because a diameter is a full circle. Okay, so I do disagree with the diameter symbol in front of the slot. But what I am going to do is I'm going to put text in back of it, and I'm going to say space wide slot. Okay, And then I'm going to click back up here so I stay in there. And I think that's it. I think that's it for the call out. So I think I'm okay. So I can click, left click in the drawing area, and there's my size for my slot. Now, let's look at the size for our through hole here. So if we look at the problems, or why don't we do this hole down over here now too, because it's the same thing as the last one. Now, you'll notice that it's going to remember the +4 -4 here, okay? So I want that, all right? But then I have to change my tolerance here to be limits, and it's going to do that. Now, if those didn't populate for you, you're going to put them in based on how it needs to deviate on the basic size or the nominal that you put in. So I'm going to put limits here, and now it has those same limits. Now, you'll notice that it has it in line though, and I want it to be top bottom. So I'm going to go to display while that is selected or green, and I'm going to hit the ISO tolerance display type, and there it is. Now, I did add through. So if you go to dimension text, notice that I added space through after the dimension here. It won't be as the default, okay? So I did add that. And that's a choice. It doesn't tell you to do that, but I think it's good to do that. All right, so I think it's just kind of one of those things that I've picked up over the years. All right, so there's that one. So that's my tolerance there. Let's look up at the 2.25. That one also has a tolerance associated with it. Okay, so if we read in our book that 2.5, let me go over here. The 2 and I'm sorry, it's 2.25 needs to go up to 2.26 and down to 2.24. So let's see what that looks like. So here's our 2.25. So let me click on this. Okay, let me click on this. Now, it's a 3-place decimal right now. So if I look up in my tolerances here, it has +10 -10. And if I look, that's what I do want, okay? But it might be something different for you. So you want to adjust it before we hit the limits, okay? So don't hit limits yet, put your tolerance in here. So +10 -10, so it goes up to 60 and down to 40. And then I'm gonna go to limits after that. So it puts it in line here. I'm gonna keep that selected. It still is green. I'm gonna go to display, click on the ISO tolerance display, and then I'm gonna re-click on display and go to text. And then notice that I added through, space through after the dimension. Now, if you don't wanna put the through on there, you don't have to. Again, that's something that I tend to do, all right, because of just past experience. And then I'm going to re-click on this. And then as I look at it, there's only one of them. I think I like the position of it. I think it looks pretty good. I want to look at maybe I'll scooch this over. Okay, let me reselect it and move maybe over here-ish. Okay, so that I have room to put my feature control frame underneath. Okay, so that's my tolerance for that guy. So I think as I look at this view, okay, as far as the dimensions around here, I have this one in place, that one. I've got these guys here. I've got the 0.75. Now I did remember, this is not the right value. This needs to be the 0.754 to 0.746. 0.746, there we go. Okay, so I did update that now. And I have the 3 in there and so on. So I've got my size here. I've got this size here, this size here. I'm not going to highlight these until I make those basic, which I'll do right now. Okay, so if I go back here, I'm going to click on this guy. I'm going to make him basic. Wish you could click on as many as you needed to, but I tried and you can't. I tried to use the control and try to do them all. Okay, so these 3 are basic, so I get to highlight those now. Those are done. So now I want to add my GD&T in this view, okay, in this view. Now, before I do, let's just take a peek at the drawing. Datum A is actually the bottom, the back side of this part. So this needs to be flat to within 1,000th, and that's going to be datum A. Then you'll notice that datum A is used for perpendicularity of that hole, position of that hole, and position of that hole. So let's put datum A in beforehand because then we have it in place. So we need to add our thickness over in this dimension or this view over here. So I'm going to show, and we're going to push this out of the way. And the one dimension I need is right here, that one right there. Apply and cancel, okay? Now, you'll notice that there is the limits on it. So when I click on this, I'm going to go back to nominal size, okay? And this is going to be what comes in for you. Now, I do want to pull this down and this down, and I'm going to extend this down a little bit as well so that I have room to put my GD&T on either side. I was going to do the leader. I tried it. I just didn't like the way that it looked. It made it too wide on either side. So I actually like attaching it to the extension lines that are here. So you'll notice in mine, you can draw it so it comes off and goes off, but I just like the way this looks. To me, it's just it's cleaner. It's not like a spread out, and I just prefer the way that it looks like that instead of using the leaders. Sometimes the leaders make sense, and it fits with the scheme that you're dimensioning with, but in this case, I like the way it looks better. Now, before I move on, I want to change this to the values that I see there. So 0.376 and 0.374. So that means that I'm going to add 1,000ths and I'm going to subtract 1,000. So again, before I go over to here, keep this nominal. You want to actually set up your tolerances plus and minus up in the top here. So mine is at 1,000th already. If not, you want to put it in there. And then I'm going to, once that's in place, then I'm going to hit limits. And now it's driven by the geometry as opposed to fudging it, if you would. And when I print it out, I'm going to have all black dimensions when I do a PDF. Okay. Okay. So this is here. So I'm good on that dimension. Okay. Now I want to add in my datum A, and then I'm going to add the perpendicularity on the other side. So I'm going to first make it flat. So I'm just going to kind of put it over here. If I go on that dimension or text or select it, it's going to point to it. So I'm just going to push it off over here and let it float a little bit. And as you know, we're going to just kind of window in as close as we can to get it on that line. If you move your view at all, though, it won't move with your view. So be extra careful. I am seeing gaps when you print it off. I shouldn't. So zoom in nice and close and get it right on that line as close as you can get it. And this is going to be 1,000th on this back side. Okay, so that's there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in kind of pretty darn close here so that I can kind of see both. And I'm going to click on this, and when I get my 4 arrows, I can move this over, okay? Move this over. Now, when I get it so that it is like on the line there, that's what I want. Now I know it's in reality, it's not perfect, okay? But it's as perfect as I can get it, all right? Now, so that's in place there. Then I'm going to add my datum right away. Remember, form tolerance as a flatness is not that looks good, and then I can move it afterwards. It's going to kind of pick its own position when you do it originally. Now I'm going to put my perpendicularity on the other side. Parallelism on the other. Oopsie. Parallelism on the other side. It's going to remember the last one. I'm not going to click on the surface or anything. I'm going to click out here, and this is going to be per parallelism 2.001 to datum A, because we do need a datum for that one. Okay, so that's pretty darn close. I'm going to move this. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go up as close. I'd like to kind of line this up if I can, as close as possible. There we go. And so I make this side flat first. We call that qualifying the surface. It becomes a datum. And then I want the other side to be nice and parallel to it. And so it says parallel to datum A on the other side. Cool. All right. I'm going to do a quick save here because this way I can be sure that I'm not losing anything in case all of a sudden I crash. All right, so basically my right side view is all taken care of, so that's good. So now that I have datum A in place, now I can use it for these other callouts. It'll make a little bit more sense. So let's start by making our through hole here. This first smaller one, the 3/4 inch smaller hole, we're gonna make that perpendicular to datum A. Now this is a feature of size and it's circular. So when we do the perpendicularity tolerance, we are gonna put a diameter symbol in front of the tolerance because we want a round tolerance by, most often, probably 95% of the time, round tolerance for a cylindrical feature. So we're gonna add our feature control frame. I'm gonna select it, put it right there. And then we're going to do perpendicularity because we want it perpendicular to that bottom surface. And in the front here of my tolerance value, I'm going to add a symbol, my diameter symbol, okay? And then what I'm going to do, this needs to be 0.000. So I'm going to go back up over here, and I'm just going to put 0.000. And then we're going to do maximum material condition. While my cursor is still up here, I'm going to do maximum material condition right after it. Okay, now for those who have had GD&T with me, we've seen this before, and all that says is if I'm making this to its smallest hole size, it has to be perfectly positioned. But for every thousandth that I deviate, for instance, then I will be able to gain a bonus tolerance. Okay, that's what the MMC modifier is there for us. And then our datum is we're going to be perpendicular to. Okay, and if you haven't had me yet for GD&T, coming. Okay, it's coming. So something to look forward to. All right. Now, that is that guy. After we have that data or that feature control frame in place, it becomes datum B. So I need to add a datum feature symbol. I'm going to go over the top of my feature control frame, and then I'm going to middle mouse button down. Because I already did A, it's now going to take the next letter in the alphabet. It's going to be like, okay, B. And if that's the case, which it is, I'm going to left click. I can always change it up there. You don't have to have B. You could change it up there by just clicking on it. So it's no biggie. Let's go up to our slot. Okay, our slot needs a feature control frame as well. We want to position that. We look over here. We want to position it to 0.000. Now, I also did something wrong here as well. Look at that. I'm not supposed to have a diameter symbol in front of here because this is a non-cylindrical feature of size. Oh, I'm finding all sorts of mistakes over there. So we want to make sure we get this in place appropriately. So I'm going to put my feature control frame right underneath here. I'm going to change this to position. And I'm going to get rid of that diameter symbol. And I'm going to keep the 0.000 maximum material condition, okay, to datum A, but then I also want to add datum B, okay? And datum B is a feature of size. So I'm going to add the modifier in back of it. And I default to the modifier because it gives us what we call an additional bonus, okay? And again, for those who've had GD&T, you know what that means. If you don't, that's okay, all right? You'll get there. You'll get that from me. So there's our additional bonus on that. And then once we have that position, okay, I'm gonna left click outside of that. That becomes datum C. Okay, and we want to click on that feature control frame so it attaches to it, and it recognizes C here because it's our third letter in the alphabet, the third datum we're doing. Otherwise, you can always key it in at the top there. Now this is correct. Okay, so I'll make a new guide and I'll put it out there so that you have what you need. Okay, so that is our datum C. Now let's go over and let's position our center hole, okay, so that we can make sure that it's correct as well. So this one, if I look back underneath my camera here, this one is going to be a diameter of 2 thousandths maximum material condition to A, B, maximum material condition, and C, because C is also a feature of size. So we might as well put our additional bonus there. So I forget if in one or two of these, it does identify the MMC modifiers for the feature of size datums, but it doesn't always. I default to them because it's always an extra bonus for us, okay? So I want to be sure to grab that if I can, and if I don't see really a reason why not, then why not? Why not? Okay. So I'm going to do a GD&T feature control frame. I'm going to kind of stick this underneath here. It's positioned, so I don't need to change that. This is going to be a diameter in front of here, so I've got to put my diameter symbol back in because it is a cylindrical feature, okay? And then maximum material condition in back, but I do need my last digit to be 2 thousandths, okay? And I've got A, B, and then I need to add C and a maximum material condition modifier in back of it. Okay, so if I go here, this looks good. This looks good. All right, I'm going to click outside of that, and I'm just going to scooch it over to the left. So I'm going to reselect it. It's going to allow me to move it by dragging it. I'm going to go something like that. Now, if you click on the size dimension there, it will attach it to it so that it'll go with it. But sometimes, and I just found I'm kind of tight on space here, it'll shift it all the way over to the left. And then now I'm outside of my border. If you need to unattach, use that, like when you left click on it, there's like a little chain in one of those menus that comes up. You can unattach that way. Okay, kind of like edit attachment, I think is what it is. So, or edit reference sometimes is what it's called. It's not always called the same thing. All right, let's do file save. So that's all set there. Okay, the last call out that I need to put on here is going to be for the profile. So we have surface profile on the outside of here, and it's all the way around, all the way around. So how do we put that in? That's something that's new. So let's look here, and what we're going to do is we are going to add a geometric tolerance right here, just like we normally do. We're going to bring it down in here, and I'm just gonna click it here. So this comes up, our menu comes up. So we're going to change this to surface profile of a surface. So our symbol changes. No diameter symbol because this is going around the outside. No maximum material condition modifier because we're only dealing with surface. So no modifiers. So it's going to be 0.003. And then we are just going to be, basically what this is saying is I want to be perpendicular to A. All right. But I want it to be all the way around. Okay. I want it to be, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't attach it to the surface. Let me back up. All right. So forget that one. We're going to delete it. Start over. I got to touch the surface so that I place it. So I want to touch any one of the surfaces here. Okay. So I want to touch the surface. And I'm going to middle mouse button, and then I'm going to go that same process. Profile of a surface, and this needs to be 0.003. Then, yep, I need to get this out of here, this out of here, and there it is. Okay, compare it. That looks good. Now, the only thing I need to add is my all around, and that is right here. There's either all over, that's going to be 2 circles. Don't do that one. The second one down is all around, okay? And that means it's going to go all around that profile, not include the top and the bottom, because we already have that qualified. So there we go. If we want to kind of scooch that in here a little bit closer, we can, and that looks good. Okay, now the reason this is tied to the radius of 0.75, and that's why we need to put a basic dimension around it, because the tolerance, if you would, for the perimeter, which includes that radius and this diameter of 3, does not default to our title block tolerance. It defaults to the surface profile tolerance, which is going to be evenly distributed on either side of the perfect profile created by those basic dimensions. Okay, and it's going to go all the way around. It's not going to stop at any one of the features. Okay, all right. So as I look here, I'm going to highlight, make sure that they're in place. Yep. Awesome. Okay, so as I look back at my print, I made the corrections I needed to here. All right, and I'll put new guides out, but then I highlighted everything. And again, you guys, when you do yours, it probably comes up okay. I've got something not quite right on my border, so I've got to get that fixed. I've got to go back and kind of recreate the template. That's okay. It's not a big deal to do that, but it's not quite right. So make sure that you have the call out, and it's supposed to be 123003 for this one, and this is supposed to be 1018 hot rolled steel. Okay, so so make sure that you update that. All right, so there is 12.3. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, really quickly, I'm going to do a save. Now, as you're kind of, finishing up here, you want to do one last save on it, all right? It's not a bad idea to go and do a print, and a print preview, just to kind of see. Now, remember, you gotta kind of roll her in and out. At this point, you would be ready to create your PDF, okay? So you're going to do your Windows Shift S. You are going to go up in the upper left-hand corner and drag to the lower right-hand corner and release, okay? This is the view that I want you to submit, not the one where you actually create it with all the, kind of snap lines and that kind of thing. We want the final print, the PDF, the print preview. And then I can close out of here. So I don't want the one that has these dashed lines on it, okay? This grayish one, and where the hidden lines aren't visible. You have to go to the print preview and do your screenshot, okay? But this is where we save. So File, Save. And then before I go out of here, as you know, it saves all those versions, right? And so I want to go and I want to say Manage File, and I want to say delete all those old versions. Okay, delete old versions, and I'm going to hit yes. That way when you go out and you look like in your file management view, you're not going to see 6 versions of the same drawing. Okay, 6 versions of the same drawing. So spacer 1. I'll get the new guide out there. I'm going to put this on the side here so I remember. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then what I can do is I don't have to X all the way out. Sometimes it's not a bad idea, but what you can do is you can go to File, Close, okay, and you're fresh. And then what it does is it retains the working directory that you were just using. But before I start messing around with anything else, what I want to do is I want to go to File, Manage Session, and I want to erase Not Displayed. Okay, so look at, there's some stuff in the background here. We want to get rid of that. So now this is like fresh. This is like I opened up a new session of Creo. Okay, and now I want to go to my slotted hub. Okay, my slotted hub. So I'm going to do a new drawing. Actually, I'm going to open the existing one. Okay, I think at this point we probably have, I'm going to hit a cancel here, we probably have a lot of really good examples on how to do the dimensioning, but there's like some nuances that I'm at each one that I want to make sure that you see. So I'm going to open up the actual slotted hub drawing. DRW, not the part, okay? And I'm going to open that up. Okay, so see, look what I did. Notice that here, this was before I discovered the correct way to do it. I was keying in. And so let's fix these, all right? Let's fix these, because now I'm kind of like irritated by it. So what I'm going to do is, you'll notice here, I'm going to just kind of see around here. Let's first fix the dimensions. So I'm going to click on this guy, and you'll notice that I come up with my values here, and notice that it has the keyed in values. I do not want that. So I'm going to go to tolerance nominal, all right? And right now, my value that I have in there, and this is something that kind of I'm not sure what happened, but it's got the middle value from what my values were. So +5, -5 on 0.515, okay? It has those values on there. And now when I go over here, because I want it to go up to 20 and down to 10. Yeah, so that's good. I'm going to do limits. And if I click over that little, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually delete it out of there. We're going to delete it out of there, and we're going to put the dimension, annotate, we're going to put the dimension back in. And we're going to go like this, 1/2 inch. Okay. Radius there. Middle mouse button. Okay, so I'm going to click out of that. I'm going to go like this, display default. Where do do I text? I want the dimension format. No, dual dimension, orientation. There it is, orientation. I knew it was on one of these. I want to go to the diameter. So that's 0.5. I want to go to a 3-place decimal, so 0.500. And now I want to do plus 20, is that right? To be sure that I didn't misunderstand inch dimension. I'm looking at the problem statement right now. Yep, 0.5, it's the last paragraph, 0.520 to 0.510. So notice that before I have this in my nominal dimension, the standard, I have to go up plus 20. So I'm going to go, because I want it to be 0.520. So I'm going to go plus 20 thousandths, 0.020. Now I need it to be plus 10. Plus 10. So I'm going to arrow back out of here because I don't want it to go below ½ inch. Okay. So I'm going to do a shift and I'm going to do a plus underneath here. I'm going to key that in, plus 0.010, 0.010. And then I'm going to go over here to my tolerance and then do the limits. And now it's in there. Now I'm going to click on this. We're going to go to display and we're going to click on the ISO tolerance display. Okay. Now this needs to be 3 by. Now again, I missed this. So let's do dimension text while it's still selected. So I need to do 3 by space diameter of, okay, and then it's going to be space equally spaced space on bolt circle BC. So ES on BC, okay, and the bolt circle is right here. So once I have that done, I just re-click back up here. I'm going to go over here. Now it is a little bit long, isn't it? Ugh, I don't like that. So let's like re-click on that and let's go to text. Let's go to, instead of equally spaced on bolt circle after, let's go down here to dimension text and then I'm going to go underneath, and now I'm starting a new line underneath, and it's going to be equally spaced on BC underneath. And then I'm going to go like that. Okay, cool. And now what I can do, because I didn't attach my feature control frame to it, I can go down here under my feature control frame and just scooch it down just a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, equally spaced on bolt circle. And then here's my bolt circle. Okay. Now, I do want to change this arrow here because I don't like that it's on the inside. So I'm just going to click on that dimension. And when I do that, I get this little menu that goes right by it. So I want my arrow to toggle to the outside. Okay, so that's how you get that one in there. All right, let's change the 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this guy. I'm going to delete that out of there. And we're going to, we actually, the datum wasn't connected to it, so it got rid of that too. So let's re-put this one back in here, okay? So we're gonna go dimension, and I wanna go to the inside diameter here. The inside diameter, it's gonna read it as a radius, that's okay. We're not afraid of that. All right, and I wanna cancel out of there, shoot. I wanna do my orientation to diameter, it's at 1.5. I need 3-place decimal. 4-place decimal for this one. And then before I go to limits, I don't want to do that. I'm going to set my limits right up here. So 0.00, so 2 zeros and a 1. Okay, and then a minus, just zeros. Okay, and now I'm going to go over to limits. Look at that, look at that. And now I go to display, ISO, and there we go. Okay, diameter of. So then we're not fudging our dimensions. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize that until kind of like noticed this. And it was through that grayed out part that I kind of discovered it. There was one of our students who found a way around it, Giselle did, and she had a good set of instructions on some of the settings, but I'm like, gosh, there must be an easier way, or maybe we're not keying this in right. And that's when I discovered we put our tolerance in before we go to limits, okay? Before we go to limits, not after. So that's here. And then now what I want to do is, that looks good. Now it's a black and it's now blue. And I'm going to go to my datum feature symbol and I'm going to attach to this dimension. So when I get over the top of it, okay, I'm going to click on it and it's going to default to the landing of that dimension. So I'm going to then click down here. This was datum A, so that looks good. Okay, and it's all part of the dimension. It'll move along with it. Now, placement of this, I think it's gonna put it, here's a room. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. As I look around here, we've got another profile, surface profile, all right, and that's on this back side right here with the datum. So it's on just this part of the surface. Let's fix this dimension because that's not okay. So I'm just going to delete that out of there, all right? And we are first going to put our dimension back in, and we're going to go like this. We're going to go to the endpoint right here and control endpoint right here, and it's going to see it as a 3-inch dimension, okay? So we're going to put that there. And I'm going to get rid of that little reference guy. I'm going to reselect this so my dimension ribbon comes up. And here too, I have 4 decimal places again, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set my decimals. So this is a 3-inch dimension. So it's going to be 0.00, so 3 zeros and a 9 is going to be my top value. And then here's another plus again, okay? So plus, shift, because it's above the 3-inch dimension, so plus 0.0003, okay, 3. Now I'm going to go over to my limits. There it is. Okay, I do want to put a diameter symbol in front of this because this is a diameter. So here in front of my value, so in the first box here, I'm going to put the diameter symbol. Okay, and that's all that I need for that. That looks good. That looks good. Now I'm going to add my geometric tolerance for the total runout. So total runout, I'm going to select here. I'm going to select the dimension. So let's select it. Okay, and then what it's going to do, it's going to pop in here automatically, which is nice. Okay, I don't have to try to maneuver things around. So this needs to be total runout. It's the 2 arrows. It's the very bottom one. No diameter symbol. This is a surface check. So no diameter symbol, it's going to be 0.0005. So really super flat, if you would, and just datum A. So we got to get rid of B and C. Okay, so there it is. And datum A for this total runout is going to be the axis created by datum A, which is the axis of the through hole here, and that's datum A. So whenever we have runout, that means that this is going to be rotating in its final form. So we have to grab on that axis, rotate it, and then we're going to be checking that outside surface so that it is running true surface-wise to that rotating axis. And then we also do the same thing down here for our runout on the actual surface, okay, to datum A, which then becomes datum B. Now, I'm just trying to look around here if there's anything else. Oh, when I did my section view, okay, when I did my section view, what I did was I turned my planes back on, okay? I turned my planes back on so that I could go through this plane right here, okay? So when I did this, I double-clicked here. Your drawing view comes up, and if we go to sections, okay, 2D cross-section, and then I did an add. Okay, I did an add, and then it wants to know I want to create a new one, okay? By creating a new one, you go down here. When that comes up, you want plain, single, done. And then you want to say what you want to call it. Now, I did just the letter A, all right? And once you do that, then it's going to have you select the plane, and you select it in this view then, when it's available to you. I'm going to cancel out of here, all right? And then it's going to, I'm going to cancel. I want to cancel that. Okay. And then it's going to put the cross-hatching in here for you. Now, to put the arrows in, I'm going to return this back off, okay? Because once I have it selected, I don't need it. You're going to have to put the arrows in over here. You're going to put your arrows in on layout. Yes, layout. And you're going to put arrow in here, okay? And the menu is going to come up and you're going to pick the view, okay? So you arrow. Yeah. Okay. It's because it's already in there. That's why. You're going to pick this view, you're going to hit arrows, and then you pick the view over here that you want it to be in. I can't do it right now because the arrows are in there already. Otherwise I could. Maybe I will. You know what I'll do? I'll just delete this out of here. No, I don't want that. My cross sections are fine. We're going to do this, that view. We'll create an extra section. Okay. Let's create a new one, planar. Let's say done. So we're going to call it section B. Okay. Let's turn on our axes. We're going to select that axis. Plane. There it is. There's B, full section. I want to do an apply. All right, and now it calls this section B. Okay, it moved things around for me because it's like, I don't like where you're at. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK here. I'm going to move my section B down here. I'm going to move my GD&T over here. Come on. No. Here. Okay, so that's section B, but I need to put the arrows in now. I need to put the arrows in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to layout, arrows. I'm going to click arrows, and I'm going to go from here. There it is, section B. Section B. Okay. And then I'm going to turn my planes back off, and I'm good. Okay. Hopefully that made sense. I don't know. What happened? Why are these guys purple? Why is that purple? Oh, maybe it's okay. It might be fine. It might be fine. Maybe I'm freaking out and I don't need to. Let's look at how I put the 0.06 in here. All right, let me go back to annotate so I can select my dimension. Why is this not allowing me to select anything? Let me do a file. Oh, it's not even going to let me save here. What is going on? This is not a good sign. Nope, it's not letting me do anything. I think I'm locked up. File, it's not going to let me save. Go to print. Preview. Okay, yeah, why are those guys purple? I don't know, but I'm also not able to, there we go. Now we can select them. Okay, so why is this guy purple? Let me select this. Oh, it went back to, let's get rid of that. Did I do an undo and I didn't realize it? I don't know. We go to annotate, let's get that back in there. Let me go to this endpoint and control that endpoint. My 3-inch dimension, do 3 places. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go here, no, it's actually 4 decimal places. 4 decimal places. 4.0009. And we're going to do a shift plus 0.1233. And then we're going to go over to limits. There we go. We're going to put a diameter symbol in front. I don't know why this didn't happen. I didn't notice that I had done an undo. Yeah, I did. Okay, that looks good. And I'm going to hit cancel. So that looks good. Now it's black. Oh, I don't know why. I don't know why. What it did. That's okay. So now I'm going to add in my geometric tolerance. I'm going to select on that dimension so it puts it where it needs to go. Just get a double of this. 0.1235 datum A. It's always quicker the second time around, right? Okay, so that's all I need for that one. And that's good. Now let me show you how I put in this dimension. Okay, this dimension right here, I'm going to get that out of there. We'll redo it. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the end, and this is the chamfer that is on that bore. From that end, control to the end point right here. Okay, and I've got to be up in the middle here, so I've got to click middle mouse button when I'm right in there. If I don't, it goes like off on the side there, like it did. And I don't want to do that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out away from the dimension, okay? Kind of up and out, okay? Like there-ish. Okay, that looks good. And now I want to do my dimension text here. So I've got the 0.06, and then I want to go in back of that dimension space by space 45, and then I want to add the degree symbol for the chamfer, okay? And then underneath, enter, after the dimension, I'm going to do both sides, okay? And I should go up there, and I can hit cancel, and there we go, okay? And now it's black. I don't know why it was purple, and this one is a purple one too, so let me get this one out of here. Let's delete that. Let's do a new dimension. Now there isn't a dimension that's available to me if we do our show annotations. Then, oops, control, and here this is, and click, and then that's it. And it's a 2-place decimal. And then I added my parallelism over here. Okay, all right. Oh, you know what? This one needs an arrow on it, so I've got to redo this one. Cancel, because it's not pointing to the surface. It's not on that radius. It should be pointing to the surface, and I can't add afterwards, so I've got to redo it. Oh, shoots. Should have selected that. See? Delete. I need to put my GD&T in. I'm going to select that surface. That's what I need to do. And I'm going to middle mouse button, total, run out, and this is going to be 0.0005, do datum A. There we go. I think that's all I need to do on that one. Yep. So I can left mouse click and then do my datum. It becomes datum B. Yes, yes. Okay, now we're good. Now we're good. Okay, so now this is going to be my final product. And again, I'm going to be looking, make sure that you don't have any of those blue dimensions. Don't go back and change any that you did, but going forward, we're going to be better at this using the geometry and making sure it's current and good. All right, so I'm going to actually click this up just a little bit. That one looks okay. All right. So I'm going to go to File, Save. This will be my last save. It'll regenerate. File, and then I'm going to go to Manage Files, Delete Old Versions. Yes. Then I'm going to go to Print, and I'm going to do a preview and click, or not click, but roller, and do my Windows Shift S in this view. Do not do it in the other view. Points off if you do. Okay, and now we got it, and now we can put it into one of our documents. Okay, I'm going to close this, and I should be good to go. So that is the slotted hub. So we didn't do each and every dimension here, but we kind of covered some of the special ones. Okay. All right, so let me file close out of this one, file manage session, erase not displayed, and okay. Oh my goodness, we are bumping up against noon. So the very last one that we have, I have the last one. This is it. It is here. Okay, the very last one that we have. I'm going to actually look at it underneath our document camera. So this is our final part. This is problem number 6. It's a roller bracket. So as I glance on this, I don't really notice anything that's a big deal. But when you set this up, depending on how you set it up, you want to make sure that this is your front view and this is your right side view. Okay, so if that doesn't come in, you can always change that through the view manager. Okay, my challenge on this one was just getting things to fit on here, and it was just a little bit annoying because when I would move something around, then I needed to add a different dimension, and so the way that I have it right here is what I found worked best for me. Okay, the slot is one of those linear dimensions, so I added that dimension there. I did add a reference dimension. Okay, I did put thickness, that's THK, on the back of the 0.13 here because it's one piece that we bend. Now, the internal radiuses are 1/8 of an inch. Now, and I don't know why. I don't know why I did this. It did 0.125 on one of them, but then it did 0.130 on the other two. I went back, I checked my model, I did it exactly the same way. I don't know why, and I redimensioned it like 2 other times and even pulled it back in, and it kept going to 0.130. There's nothing I can do on it. I don't know what else to do. So it's fine. It's nothing that's super accurate. But that's going to be on these internal radiuses here. Do not do the outside radius. This radius, you're going to, when you bend it, that radius and you create that model is 0.25. It is a radius of 0.25 because you take the inside radius plus the thickness of 1/8 of an inch, and then that radius is going to be that. But you don't, that's created because of the thickness, all right? So you don't dimension that, but when you put it in, you have to do that offset. I don't notice anything else. Again, my drawing number and my material did not come up for me to change, so I'll have to go back and adjust my template to do that, but you need to put the correct values in here. Other than those couple things that I just told you about, this is pretty straightforward. So if you have any questions as you're working on it, let me know. That's all that I have for today. That's all that I have. So I am going to stop. Actually, I'm not going to stop sharing. I'm just going to remind you, let me go back to our Blackboard. If we look at our course calendar, these problems are due on Thursday by the end of the day. Tomorrow, I will ask what questions do we have on any of the problems, the chapter 12 problems that you have due, and I'll take any specific questions that you might have, okay? Otherwise, the guides are out there. I think this is my 3rd or 4th lecture on this particular chapter. So review those lectures, and you should get what you need. Tomorrow, I'm looking forward to starting kind of a little project with you guys that is outside of the book. It's an assembly that I found, and I think it'll be fun for us to work on. And it'll be kind of a nice way to, kind of start buttoning up and kind of pulling all the things that we've been learning together. All right, so that's all that I have for today. If you have any questions between now and Thursday or now and tomorrow, let me know. Otherwise, have an awesome day and let me know how I can help you.